Mr. Know-It-All.
What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug, and I need the Miami Heat to start scoring points. That's just how we're going to right into it. We're going to get right into it. I need the Miami Heat to start scoring points. Last night they had, 80, 82. Monday they had 80. I need Miami to figure it out offensively. This is a team that has, in my opinion, a lot. And throughout the regular season, they've been one of the top teams. Never felt like they got the proper credit or respect for being the top team in the East with so many talented teams out there. But this offensive thing has always been something that people have talked about because I don't know if a lot of you remember or saw, but there was one point on the Through the Wire podcast where I called the Heat a super team in their own unique way. I know when people hear the term super team, you automatically think of stars like three-headed monster, Bron, Wade, Bosh, KD, Kyrie, Harden. You think of Shaq, Kobe. You think of the names and the star-studded teams. But what I broke down and the philosophy I had in calling them a super team was just in the fact that they had very little weaknesses. Kind of like the Detroit Pistons from 2003. That team wasn't star-driven, but when you look at them all around, there was very few holes. They had good defense. They had enough shot makers. They had enough offense. They had size. They had versatility. To me, you can be a super team without having superstardom across the board. And that was the case I was trying to make for the Miami Heat. The series isn't over, but boy, do they have me looking wrong because this offensive hole has been glaring, especially when Tyler Hero is not available to play. We talking about Kyle Lowry in the past 2 games. He's shooting 1 of 12 with 3 points. In the last two games, he's shooting 1 of 12 with 3 points. Max Strus, the last 2 games, is 0 of 16 with 4 points. In the last 2 games, your starting backcourt has combined for 7 points and is 1 of 28. That is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Especially when you got a guy like Victor Oladipo on the way he's been playing. The last game before yesterday on Monday, Victor Oladipo was their best player from an offensive standpoint, hell, even a defensive standpoint. Victor Oladipo was one of your best players, one of your all-around best players from an offensive and a defensive perspective. He played a hell of a lot with intensity on the defensive end, and the offense was there too. Now, last night, the entire team just didn't have it offensively for whatever reason. They came out in the first half. I liked the way that they played, but when you looked at it from just a game standpoint, the Boston Celtics were kind of non-existent in the first half and were barely out of the game. I felt like Jaylen Brown, I didn't even really recognize Jaylen Brown being on the floor. I saw he hit a 3 or whatever. Jason Tatum grabbing on his shoulder. Derek White was their standout player in the first half, him and Al Horford, to be honest with you. Robert Williams had some putbacks, but it was nothing really there for the Celtics. And I remember feeling like this was a game the Heat was going to win just because I didn't feel like the Celtics were showing up. And boy, was I wrong. Third quarter, they flipped the switch and they doubled the Heat in the third quarter. 32-16, they outscore them, and the rest was history. Fourth quarter was just atrocious. They went on like a 13-0 run or somewhere between that, and that's when you felt like the game was truly over. Miami just didn't have anything. Like I said, Kyle Lowry just looks bad. He looks extremely, extremely bad. And I was a guy, again, early in the year who said there wasn't going to be much difference between him and Dragic. As much as I understood why people wanted Kyle Lowry, I just didn't feel like he was that significant of an upgrade over Dragic. And I'm not here to say Dragic is a top 5 point guard, or if they had him, they'd be in a championship or anything like that. But I don't think Goran Dragic is giving you 1 of 12. One thing about Goran Dragic is when he get in that moment, especially in the playoffs, he's going to have big performances. And he was a part of that Heat culture. He was a part of that Heat family. He still is. The guy was fucking at the games in the regular season. We heard he was around the practices or whatever. Goran Dragic just has one of those, the toughness, and he finds a way. We even saw it in the playoffs. With the Nets, he had his moments. At certain stretches against this same Boston Celtic defense, Goran Dragic had some crazy performances. At some parts, he was looking like, a guy that was kind of making a way for the Nets to have any life in them to compete for any type of way to get a win in that series. And again, I'm not here to overhype Goran Dragic. I'm not making it seem like if he's on the Heat, they're just the championship finals best team of. But when you look at this with Kyle Lowry, you look at the amount of money that they're paying him. I stand on what I said. A lot of people called me crazy. I stand on what I said. And I never thought in a million years Kyle Lowry would have a 1 for 12 over the last 2 game type performance. I couldn't have had predicted that. I'm going to be honest. But still, even without thinking he would play this bad, I just didn't see the drop off between the two. 15% from three. 15% from three. 7 of 45 from three. And I'm looking at notes because some of this shit is so bad I had to write down notes. I'm a big note taker, but a lot of y'all know a lot of stuff. It's so much with the Heat that I had to write some of this shit down. 7 of 45 from three, man. 7 of 45. 7 of 40, and the Celtics didn't even shoot as good themselves. They shot 10 of 33. That's not amazing. But it was better than the Heat. 30% in what world is good? Only in a world where your opponent is shooting 15%. Now we look at the just from the field goals. 30 of 94, 31% from the field. There's no way in hell they're going to win another game in the series. I might go and put a lot of money on Boston winning Game 6. And I was a guy that had Boston in 6 coming into the series. A lot of Heat fans know how much I talked about them in the regular season, how much credit and props I tried to give them because I just feel like they had such a great year in the regular season. And because they don't have a star, that big name, I felt like they didn't get their just due or their credit. No disrespect to Jimmy Butler, but I think we all know Jimmy Butler is in that weird place where he has a lot of heart, a lot of will, and a lot more fight than some other guys, but he's still not in that echelon with the top tier players. He's just not. But he's like right above all-star, but he's right under superstar. It's just a weird tier that he's in. So I feel like because of that, the Heat aren't talked about so much. It's kind of like the Suns, where like Chris Paul is obviously great, Devin Booker is great, Aiden is emerging or whatever. But none of those guys that I just named are in that top tier. So a lot of those teams kind of get under talked about or whatever. We don't give them enough attention or credit on a national platform. They get talked about when we have to absolutely talk about them. But for the most part, Kevin Durant and the Nets are going to get talked about a lot because Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are names. Joel Embiid and James Harden. The Philadelphia 76ers were never as good as the Heat this year, but they were talked about a lot more. They had some trade and drama around them. They're going to be talked about a lot more. The Lakers were ass this year. But in every conversation that happened, they were talked about because of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook. So when you don't have those names and that star power, as a basketball guy, I notice on a national media platform, some of these teams who deserve it from a winning aspect don't get involved in these conversations. So I try to give as much love as I can. And I felt like the Heat and the Suns were two very complete teams who did what they were supposed to do more than any other team in the league. And they should have got some praise. And the Heat are a team that went out, find guys like Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Omer Yurtseven, and they give them roles and they show development. They have a culture. I love the Heat. I really, really do. So a lot of Heat fans know that I was speaking highly of them. But even with that being said, the Celtics just have the offensive upside. For me, I'm taking Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown over what the Heat have offensively coming into the series. And you add on the fact that they're shooting 31%, 15% from three, 14 assists as a team. The backcourt is again 1 for 28 over the last 2 games. Coming into the series at the Heat's best, I'm still taking the Celtics offensive firepower at the Heat's best. But you add in the fact that they got the nerve to be playing like this. I don't know what to say. Then you look at a game like Monday, right, where they lose by 20. You got to understand, Monday is a game where you got 23 from Oladipo. That's supposed to be a game where you take advantage of that. All of the double-figure scores that they had on Monday, where they lost by 20, came off the bench. Oladipo had 23. Caleb Martin had 12. Duncan Robinson had 14. Duncan Robinson has been unplayable. Duncan Robinson gives you 14. That's supposed to be a blowout win for you. Anytime you're able to get that much production from the bench, that has to be a win for you. That has to be a win for you. Even yesterday, you're getting a performance from Caleb Martin and Duncan Rock, Gabe Vincent. They're giving you 11, 15, 7, and 6. Like, that production is not going to be there. Like, if I go into a game and you tell me that Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson combined for 26 off the bench, I'm saying, oh yeah, the Heat probably winning that game by double digits. The Heat probably winning that game by double digits. But then you also have to throw in the fact that Max Strus is giving you 4 points. Kyle Lowry is giving you 0. Jimmy Butler is giving you 13, 4 of 18. Listen, everybody's banged up. Eric Spoelstra said it himself. At this point in the season, everybody is banged up. Jason Tatum's grabbing at his shoulder. Marcus Smart didn't play in the game. Everybody, Robert Williams has missed. That's when Bam went off. Everybody's banged up. So the banged up thing, I'm sorry to give it to Heat Nation. It's out of the window. Nobody gives a damn about being banged up. The Milwaukee Bucks just had to play this Celtic team without Chris Middleton the entire series. Nobody cares about injuries at this point. Everybody is banged up. But for me, I'm just looking for this team to be able to score some points, man. They got to be able to score some points. And I know Tyler Hero being missed is tough or whatever, not being able to play. He didn't play in last night's game. I don't think Tyler Hero changes none of this shit. As much as I like Tyler Hero, no, he's not. He's not changing the outcome of this game. Not that much. Tyler Hero comes in, he makes 3 threes. Now you're 10 out of 45 from 3. You know what I mean? Like, Tyler Hero does not stop you from shooting 7 for 45. Tyler Hero don't come and all of a sudden you shoot 50% from 3. All of a sudden that 31% from the field goes up. Jurassic. Like, no. No. The Celtics beat them in every aspect of this game. Every aspect. And the Celtics didn't even come to play the first half, man. I just don't see how the Miami Heat bounce back from this. My prediction, like I said, was the Celtics in 6. I think Friday, tomorrow they play, and I think the Celtics close it out in their home court. I just when Jimmy is not giving you anything offensively, don't know what to expect from Bam. 30 points one game, 9 the next. Duncan Robinson is unplayable all playoffs. Now all of a sudden he has to play against this defense. Victor Oladipo, you don't know if they're going to – I don't know. I'm waiting for some changes to be made. I love Eric Spoelstra. I think that he'd have enough. I don't think Kyle Lowry can play the next game. I don't. I would really consider how much Kyle Lowry is playing next game. Again, 1 of 12 over the last 2 games with 3 points. Combine that with Max Strus's 0 for 16, 4 points over the last 2 games, and you have 7 points on 1 of 28 shooting. You might have to start Gabe Vincent and Victor Oladipo. You might have to start Victor Oladipo and Duncan Robinson. You might have to start Cody Martin and Victor Oladipo. Cody Martin was more impactful in yesterday's game than Kyle Lowry. The minutes that they got from Cody Martin was that much more significant than anything Kyle Lowry did in all of yesterday's game. And on the flip side for the Boston Celtics, I mean, way to come out and play. Jaylen Brown had an incredible second half. Jason Tatum, that is exactly what you want from your guy, right? The shot's not falling. They're playing you a specific way defensively that maybe has you struggling. You have to find ways to impact winning, even if it doesn't mean or require you to put the ball in the basket and score points. And at first, that's the way it was going. Jason Tatum was becoming a distributor. He was rebounding. Then once the game opened up, Marcus Smart hit some shots off of him. Derek White was scoring. Al Horford getting some floaters in there. Jaylen Brown. Now the game is fully opened up. Now down the stretch, Jason Tatum bucket 3, and these are big shots. These are when Miami's trying to creep in just a little bit. Oh, it's a 13-point game. Tatum 3 up 16. You know what I mean? Taking the heart out of the Heat in any type of fight that they had. Not that they had much, but Jason Tatum down the stretch hit some big, timely buckets for them. And he ended the game with 22 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. That's a big game, almost a triple-double. But he came in with the mindset of, hey, the offense isn't there early for me, so I'm going to find different ways to impact us on a winning side of the basketball. And when it's time for me to get my shots and make my shots, I'm going to make them. And Jaylen Brown came through with 25 and 4. Again, with Al Horford, 16, 7, and 5. Robert Williams had 3 blocks. Marcus Smart didn't have the greatest game, but boy, did he hit some timely shots too. He hit a very, very big time 3. And I just want to make sure that stat line is correct. Yes, 12 rebounds, 9 assists for Jaylen Brown. For Jason Tatum. And that's exactly what you need. That's exactly what you need. Just let the game come to you naturally. And don't force anything. And things will open up. Put trust in your teammates. And the more shots they make, the more effective they become. The more the game opens up for you as an individual. And then once you start to get your opportunities, you just take advantage. And shout out to Coach Udoka. Again, this defense is amazing. So in that second half, at halftime, why are we guarding Jimmy Butler like he's their go-to guy if he's just going to be a screener? So don't put that much attention on him. We're not going to pay that much attention to Jimmy Butler if he's not going to come out and try to be that guy, or if that injury, whatever, is bothering him that much, we just won't pay that much attention to him. And I felt like that was genius. And the second half was night and day for the Boston Celtics, and they really ran away with this game after halftime. 32-16 in the third quarter. The rest is history. So yeah, I'm expecting the Golden State Warriors to close out tonight against the Dallas Mavericks in Golden State at the Chase Center. And then on Friday, I'm also expecting the Boston Celtics to close this out in Boston. And I'm expecting the NBA Finals to be the Golden State Warriors against the Boston Celtics. High-power offense of system against a high-power defensive system is going to be exciting. And hopefully after tonight's game with the Warriors and the Mavericks, I'll be making one of these videos talking about the Warriors closing it out, and we'll be that much closer to the NBA Finals. This is NBA Weekly. I am Pee Wee the Plug. I will see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.